And welcome back to this quick video. I may want to try to do this sort of weekly or monthly recap of things I do in photography, and don't have to push too far to just do POV video vlogs all the time. Getting straight into it, today wanted to try to just push for more saturation and experimenting with color. In this case, I went out and just shot at with the simulation vivid, and then just push color +2 as well. But with some experimentation, there seems to be lack of contrast, so I tried to push the shadows by +2, and then to control the highlights just -2 as well, so that it's not really contrast with +2 highlights and +2 shadows. It's just bringing the overall extremes lower. While from testing these settings out, it seems the middle ground will stay the same, but just the highlights are brought down while the shadows goes darker as well. In which case I'm still sort of experimenting on color images, because sometimes in the previous occasions where I'm able to shoot color, and in this case it's just experimenting with scenes as well, since I see the boy sort of holding on to one of the railways of the shop, but I had to get a little bit closer, and it's not quite there yet, and then get a little bit closer here where he's framed inside the shop, and then it's just his yellow bike and the yellow sign, and the lady also wearing a yellow shirt. Another one here of the sort of chopper-esque bike coming around, but we don't get to see too much of it, so there's a nice sort of connection between the red motorbike on the left side and then the taxi as well. It's also quite red, and even the lady walking through has of a red strap in the background. We're going through this one is maybe a little bit better, but the bike coming on the right hand side over here maybe makes the overall image slightly too tight, but doesn't really block too much, and then this sort of gray car allows to sort of help frame the person instead of the maybe messy background at the back. But continuing a little bit more now with a whiter background, this one seems a bit cleaner and could be possibly better, though sadly this one I think would have been the best, though there was this bike that just came in the way that sort of ruined the whole shot itself. But I quite like how just sharp this area is, while there's just this big blurry mess in front. Here just scene of the lady looking back at me, so have some interaction, and just her sort of because of the warmer tones in her clothing sort of contrast with the overall greens, and even the basket is fairly red as well, warm tones. Anyways, these are all sort of JPEG straight out of camera, just not editing, since it's one can just edit whatever they desire, and I'm just sort of still trying to sort of keep things within the camera itself, and that if the shot itself by its fundamentals are sort of good, then any editing would just sort of make it better overall. Here's where things start to sort of go a little bit crazy with the skies, and in past days there's a lot of sun, and this is almost a month ago. That's how far ago I'm talking about. Right now it's just many cloudy days and sort of rain that comes down, so there's not as much sunlight to produce what people would say good light in these golden hours because of the clouds. So just capturing these clouds when the sun is hitting on them looks fairly okay. Here just trying to sort of take what would a horizontal shot look like compared to a vertical, and I was using the 35 1.4, but in a sort of landscape scene like this, just bring it up to f8. Also that the exposure is also fairly bright, and wanted to sort of have the buildings in silhouette. And then trying out here again, that just sees a small gap in between these trees that allows to sort of see through into the clouds, and then there just seems to be a different feel when trying to shoot horizontal here, and feel free to let me know which one you prefer. This one's a guy sort of in isolation, and there's just sort of various colors between the orange on the right side in the lower floors, and then the blues on the upper floors, and then he sort of just as orange. in the same floor with the other orange areas. And then the other lightings around sort of, because it sort of pushed the saturation quite high, instead of white it turns a bit green, that I find a little bit sort of interesting to see. Feels that like reminds me of that Neo movie, The Matrix, that they have a lot of like green colors tone to it. Here was the previous guy, I think, that was sort of selling fruits that we shot previously. Right here. So he's driving out to work and I went out to do some business and then walking out again. He's parked here to sell his fruits now and just chilling on his bike. Here another shot while I'm walking out and just see a little bit more sky. I might like crop this just a little bit to get rid of like some of the distracting parts, but this one in the vertical scene I think works a little bit better. So yeah, it's something where it's like when the sun isn't out too bright, to give like this dynamic light and shadow. Sometimes it just feels like turning things into black and white will become more interesting, but I'm just trying to sort of push just have the image as saturated as possible. It might not look good to some people, and I'm not saying like these look good to me either, but it's just sort of something where I need to see things very saturated before I can sort of maybe pull it down to then find a middle ground of what looks good in color. Because right now it's just everything feels like I'm falling back into black and white, because that just seems to look more interesting. And this will be like the final photo where it's like, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. We can quickly turn this into black and white, and there's like the foundation there to just increase the highlights, and then maybe lower the shadows just a little bit, but just needs a little bit more highlight to let it pop. But then with these colors of just very rich, maybe lights on one side of his face as he's moving through, and then this person sort of looking towards him as well, and just a lot of lights in the background. I think this is sort of something to sort of look out for when I try to do like color photography next time around. And then here is very dark now, though still being at 1.4. The skies are just absolutely blue, again due to the film simulation vivid, and then +2 in color, which just gives the blue and then a nice hint of contrast with the red crane right in the middle. Then trying another version where it's horizontal with both the cranes together. But that's it for now. It's just 8 minutes, and just wanted to share like a small journal of trying to like push learning color, and I might try to like just do only color photography for at least a month, and maybe try to find a few other film simulations that are in color. But right now it's just pushing like full, like as saturated simulation that I can go for, but then the hint of +2 shadows to give it more contrast, but then -2 highlights to not make it too contrasty, and control the highlights, I think is the way to go. But right now I've at least at the time that I was taking these photos, they were +2 in sharpness, which I will sort of bring it down to -2 to see how soft the image can be. That will maybe make smoother color images. Right now it's or at least some of the images looked a little bit too sharp, and then suddenly feels muddy with the colors, I think. With that said, I will just see you all next time. Bye for now.